Welcome, boys and girls. Costin here with a discussion about the Masque, who might very well be the best legendary lord of Slaanesh, the Prince of Darkness. Really, I think Ozzy Osbourne would fit very well within Slaanesh for a number of reasons. Both good and bad, really, when you think about it. But when I say she's the best legendary lord of Slaanesh, I'm not just talking about the race in itself, I'm also talking about the warriors of chaos, because you have the capability of recruiting units normally as opposed to dealing with the warband recruitment system. And the interesting thing is how far the Masque goes in terms of solving some of the issues that Slaanesh has from an army roster perspective by actually making demonic units far more useful. But that will come in just a moment. First off, let's talk about the diplomacy angle, because it's kind of a bit ridiculous when you think about it. Your first settlement, the one you capture in your initial battle, you can actually sell to Skulltaker and make him a vassal. Khorne must be extremely disappointed in Skulltaker for falling to the wills of the Masque. What can you do? What can you say? What can be said, really? And you do not actually have to fight Skulltaker in this campaign. I mean, you do need the territory, sure, undeniably so, but you can just let Skulltaker deal with Alberic and let Skulltaker deal with the Tzeentchian faction there. And since he is your vassal, chances of anyone declaring war on you, unless you declare war on them first, is fairly low, all things considered, which gives you a significant level of opportunity towards dealing with the many different aspects in a Slaaneshi campaign. So that's already a pretty substantial benefit in her campaign situation. On top of that, because Slaanesh is such a great race in ambushing in the jungle, like in just in ambushing in general, the fact that you have the jungle benefit towards ambushing means that Marcus Wolfhard, the only faction that you actually have to defeat, will easily fall prey to your little schemes right here. And the reason we can win that in auto-resolve as well, as opposed to just having to fight it manually, though in this case, fighting it manually would have annihilated his army very, very easily. Demonids are not something to be joked at in the best of times. And unfortunately for Marcus Wolfhard, these are not really the best of times for him to deal with, because the Masque of Slaanesh has some very substantial benefits as well with regards to demonids in her campaign. And that's what makes the Masque such a ridiculously good campaign to actually play in a lot of different ways. Because you see, you can just ambush him, take the territory, get it done, get it sorted, and then just fall back, recruit more demonids. Like, she really is the demonid campaign incarnate in a significant number of different ways as well, to the point that it makes things quite ridiculous. And that is, by the way, not a joke. Usually, by the way, I do save up different skills right there. We're gonna set up a cult of Slaanesh when I want to deal with Yanbo, or I don't want to deal with Yanbo. Like, if I just want to make him a vassal, that's not really a difficult thing. I mean, I made Skulltaker a vassal, and he genuinely despises Slaanesh, so making Yanbo a vassal is an even easier task in this campaign dynamic situation. You may want to leave Lustria as quickly as possible, suffice to say, and there's a lot of reasons for that, but yeah, just selling this territory to Yanbo, making him a vassal, well, suddenly you've got both Yanbo and Skulltaker in your campaign as vassals, as that is not a small thing to consider in such a campaign. On top of that, you get casualty replenishment for demonic infantry, cavalry, and chariot units, hero capacity +2 for Aloris, which is pretty ridiculous when you think about it. Global and local recruitment for demonids and exalted demonids of Slaanesh. So when you're playing this campaign, you can really just take advantage of this situation to recruit even more demonids than you otherwise would have. And that is phenomenally good for the Masque because she also gives them physical resistance, she reduces their upkeep, she has the Dance of Dreaming ability as well, and wound recovery time reduced. She gains she reduces campaign movement range for enemy armies in local province, she gives casualty replenishment for her own army, and then charmed attacks for Demonettes of Slaanesh, ambush, defense chance, slippery, melee attack, frenzy. Yes, that is really ridiculous. But here's where things get a bit crazy, like Vanguard deployment as well for them. If you want to play a campaign, like all non-demonic units do very well. Mortal units tend to do very well. But buffing demonic units in the way that the Masque of Slaanesh does is ridiculous. And it gets even better from that specific perspective. Oh yes, because what you can do in this campaign is go even further along the line with regards to that. Because every single lord, even ones that you literally just recruit on a single turn, especially if you own the DLC, can choose a dance in their campaign. And that is a pretty ridiculous benefit when you're considering some of the benefits you have in such a campaign. Let's consider the dances themselves, really. And this is where the Masque ends up shining as, and the reason I actually was able to auto-resolve my way through that particular battle. Because you see, she has 3 dances: the Burning, the Symphony, the Pageant, and then the Final Dance. The Final Dance is actually kind of the endgame one, because you might sacrifice some armor, so if you're running with a lot of Chosen of Slaanesh in an army, and you're willing to sacrifice some of that armor for speed and get damage capability, oh yes, you can definitely do so. And even granting them bonus versus large for monstrous units, lords, and heroes, or just giving yourself some pretty significant benefit when you're considering everything. And then, of course, you do have the dance capabilities right there. But thinking of the dance you can start with, you can get very quickly, once you deal with the initial Dark Elf faction that you're at war with, you can get plus 30 armor for your entire army. And so that means your Exalted Demonettes go from a unit that has very low armor or non-existent armor, only 10, well, to a level of ridiculousness that is just crazy when you think and consider it in a campaign. It's kind of a bit weird when I think of that specific situation. But yeah, by default, they have 10. I mean, it's, yeah, so you go to 40, you buff it by 30, so that does work out. And that means that not only is your army really good in an actual field battle, but they actually are durable as well. And durability for demonic units is kind of one of the keys to really make them work. Furthermore, on top of all of that, you also get Exalted Demonettes of Slaanesh, which have even better capability, and you can recruit those faster, which does and with the extra pleasurable acts, you can even increase your growth by quite a substantial amount in this campaign. So if I want to deal with him one way or another, or get a diplomatic benefit in this campaign, or get Slaaneshi corruption, or get devotees, then that can really work out in my favor in this specific campaign. And that results in something where you end up destroying everyone that stands in your path. You also have a cult over here in the Marienburg region, which allows you to teleport right there and just deal with things that are in your path. Unlike the Kala, you also have unholy manifestations, which means you can get this cult, the Carnival of the Damned, for instance, or you can get casualties post-battle, or you can get cult uprising, which, yeah, given the amount of Slaaneshi corruption you can spread, that gives you a huge level of capability in a campaign. And that's what makes the Masque such a great legendary lord. How ridiculous she is? Well, she is so damn ridiculous that she will be able to walk over everyone and anyone that stands in her path, and that's not a small thing. You can even change the dances if you want to, though it does cost you in terms of tempo. And of course, you don't necessarily want to lose that extra armor capability, but you can give your demonettes missile resistance. You lose 1 level of tempo when you switch a dance, but certainly the capability in this campaign is absurd. So a couple of turns later, I'm already near Marienburg, and once you take Marienburg, you can vassalize Karl Franz, or you can make it the economic hub of your empire if you so desire, because there's a lot of tradable resources. You can probably just take Middenland and sell that to Karl Franz, or maybe take Harburg, sell Gorsel, and get that vassalization through that specific process. The vassalization capability of the Masque, as well as her capability of having a good economy, having good armies, having flexible armies, and using all that sweet allied recruitment to make up for any kind of deficiency you might have in the army roster, specifically with regards to artillery units, and in general having the capability of making sieges easier, because sieges are dictated a lot by durability of units, so armor matters a lot, but so does physical resistance. One shouldn't underestimate that aspect. So you have both physical resistance and armor. There's very few things in the game that can stand up to the Masque once you get going. And speaking about getting going, on turn 12, I've got Jan Bo controlling almost 3 provinces. I'm about to ensure that Skulltaker gets 2 provinces. So the best way really to play the Masque is you don't necessarily need to control a lot of provinces. You have a lot of hero capacity through just 1. But what you do want to do is make sure your vassals control stuff. And let me tell you this, having Skulltaker as a vassal is a heck of a lot of power to use. I've even set up a cult here. I got fortunate with the great game favoring Slaanesh right here, so I can now teleport her back here and march on Rakarth and take all of this sweet territory if I so desire, and all of the stuff here. Or alternatively, really, I could take some of this territory, make a peace agreement with Rakarth, and make him a vassal and just be swimming in money. That is kind of the balance point of a Masque campaign, and you gotta decide how much territory do you want. Either playstyle works. You can be aggressive, you can be slower paced, you can have 100 different vassals, you can have no vassals whatsoever if that's your intent. Though I think it would be a really missed opportunity to not make Skulltaker a vassal if you're playing the Masque. Just pointing that out there. One of the core gameplay mechanics of Slaanesh is that vassalization aspect in a campaign, and it works brilliantly well. That is all I had to say on the subject. Costin here signing out, and I'll see you boys and girls next time.